These are 3 books I absolutely cannot believe are real. The first book on my list is The Wager by David Graham. This is like the original Shipwreck story, and it is clearly really well researched by this author and describes this absolutely insane journey, consequent shipwreck and survival story of a group of sailors who were sailing from the UK across the Atlantic down around the bottom of South America, and the insane storms that they had there. And this all took place in 1742. So just think about the kind of ships that they had, the lack of navigation that they had. I actually can't believe that there were even survivors from this story. One of my favourite things about this non-fiction book is that it reads like fiction. All the way through, it follows certain characters within the story and you get to know them. You're on side for certain ones. Some of them are clearly unappealing characters. I just absolutely recommend this to anyone who is interested in things like Castaway, Treasure Island, because this really happened. There's said that what happened to the men in this story off the coast of Chile was the inspiration for Lord of the Flies, which I totally understand after reading this book. So yeah, definitely recommend this one. My second recommendation and my third one are both by the same author, the wonderful Anita Anand. Now, I know about her originally because she is on the Empire podcast with William Dalrymple. They talk about different empires, and I have mentioned this before on my booktube that I'm a huge fan. I will link the podcast below. Now, Anita is a historian and an author, as well as being on the podcast. And one of her books that she mentioned on the podcast is called The Patient Assassin. This book took us on an absolute journey. It actually references Anita Anand's own grandfather, who was there during a horrific massacre. The non-fiction novel is all around the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, also known as the Amritsar massacre, that happened in Amritsar in 1919, where the British Army opened fire into a crowd of people. And to this day, there are lots of disputes by historians over how many people were actually massacred that day. There were very, very thin alleys for people to escape, and so many people were trapped in this area, and the army officer gave orders to continue firing into this crowd of innocent people. And some historians believe that it is one of the tipping points that was the end of the British colonisation of India. It is an incredibly powerful book. I think the fact that Anita Anand's own family members are involved in the story made it even more powerful for me. Again, a little bit similar to The Wager, it is non-fiction, but it reads like a fiction story. So for me, I felt it was really accessible and fascinating way of accessing history told through the stories of individual people that were there at the time and historical figures in both the British Army and in India at the time. So I definitely recommend this book. I'm not going to give too many spoilers away about the book, but it is called The Patient Assassin, and it is a story of revenge for that massacre, and it's truly exceptional. Third book that I still can't quite believe is real is another book by Anita Anand called Sophia. Sophia Dulip Singh was born into one of the Sikh royal families in around the 1870s. Her story is absolutely incredible. I listened to a podcast where Anita Anand talks about how she first came across this character, and she saw a picture of Sophia in an old newspaper, black and white photograph of this woman as a suffragette, the group of women who fought for women's right to vote in the UK. And she said to herself, this is a Punjabi woman, what is she doing in the early 1900s in the UK with the suffragettes? And so she went on this huge, big research journey and wrote this book as a result of it. And it's absolutely insane, unbelievable how the Duleep Singh family were treated by the British royal family. It involves the Colonial diamond, one of the most famous diamonds in the world that is with the British royal family at this point, and was looted from India and from Sophia's own father. And it talks about the decline of the Sikh kingdoms in India. It talks about the rise of the suffragette movement. It talks about so many fascinating parts of history, particularly the way that this one family were treated by the British government, by Queen Victoria, of who Sophia was her goddaughter. And it is absolutely beautifully written, clearly very well researched. I just learned so much from it, and I really, really recommend that as another unbelievable book to read.